Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today we're doing a holiday movie. What are we talking about? The holiday. I did not mean to do that. Um, so today we're going to be talking about the classic rom-com, The Holiday. It's a 2006 movie, PG-13, runtime 2 hours and 16 minutes, and it's showing on Netflix right now if you want to check it out. The Holiday. So its main stars are Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jude Law, Jack Black, to name a few. And yeah, it's just one that I have watched a million times. It's not the greatest movie, but I very much enjoy it. And if it's on, I will just pick it up and keep watching it. So it's written and directed by Nancy Meyers. And, of course, Nancy Meyers has been involved with everything, every rom-com ever, Father of the Bride 2, I mean, just everything. You know Nancy Meyers. So, yeah, Baby Boom. That's one of my favorite movies ever. I need to do a separate thing on Baby Boom. I love that movie with Diane Keaton. So good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this movie. I just wanted to do a holiday movie. I wanted to spread some cheer. I want to talk about this. And I wanted to kind of go over some of the stuff from the movie. So, The Holiday. It starts off... Okay, so our main characters here are Iris, played by Kate Winslet. Amanda is Cameron Diaz. Graham is Jude Law. Miles is Jack Black. We have a jackass Jasper, played by Rufus Sewell. And what struck me about this movie, I have always obsessed about the English countryside. And I love this cottage scene here. It's set in Surrey. And although I hear it's more the exterior and stuff were more the Cotswolds, but the interior is a stage, but I just love this cottage. I think it's so beautiful. Homey, that's the word I'm going for. It's more rustic and homey, and I love the warmth that it feels inside. Maybe the outside's a little bit drab, but it's nice. I love the snowy British countryside. You guys are so lucky. This house belongs to Iris. Poor Iris. She's my favorite character of the movie. I love her. Kate Winslet. She's fantastic. And on the other side of the pond in LA, here is, I keep wanting to call her Cameron Diaz. It's Amanda, who's played by Cameron Diaz's house. Beautiful. I love the flower work. It's not, if I'm picking, I know I'm an idiot for making this choice, but I would absolutely pick the Iris cottage over this. This just isn't my style of house, but that's just me. So, pretty quick at the beginning of the movie, we see Cameron Diaz with her boyfriend, who's played by Edward Burns. And basically, we find out she has trouble in relationships. Now, it's funny. They kind of make it seem like it's her fault, but we find out he's been cheating, so there's that. But she has trouble in relationships. Then we go back to Iris, who also has trouble in relationships. The idea with Iris is that she has unrequited love. She has loved this man for 3 years, Jasper, and he doesn't love her back. And so we find out that they were shagging, and then she found out he was shagging somebody else. So she writes a wedding column. She is at work when she finds out Jasper is now engaged to the girl he was shagging. She finds out at the office party. So she's completely devastated and upset and doesn't know how she's going to get over it. I just think Kate Winslet is stunning. Can I just say that? Even when she's crying and upset here, I think she's so beautiful. Okay, so then back to Amanda. Amanda's deal is she just doesn't let herself fully commit. She can't cry. Her emotions aren't there. It's just a whole thing. Now, side note, Amanda's job, which they repeat about 1 million times throughout this movie, is that she works on the previews we see for movies, right? Like with the voiceover guy and stuff. Like, he was a guy in love. She was buying pants, the previews. So she's committed to her job. We see that. It's all about that. He even points out, even though he cheated, that he's blaming her, saying, listen, you never could fully commit. You're looking for something to go wrong. Something's gone wrong. There you go. P.S. These are her coworkers we see in one quick scene of the movie. Recognize anybody? That's John Krasinski and Katherine Hahn. They've both gone on to be big stars. We know Jim from The Office, and Katherine Hahn was just in that. Oh my gosh, what is that show? Oh, I can picture it with Olsen, the Disney show. Hang on. WandaVision. Why couldn't I think of that? Anyway, so funny to see them here again, just very briefly. That's the only clip we see of them. But the idea is that Amanda is a workaholic. She tells them, hey guys, why don't we take a couple weeks off? I need a breather. And they're shocked, like, what? You never take time off. So Cameron Diaz gets on Google. Sorry, Amanda gets on Google. I'm going to do that a lot. And she types in, like, vacation, happy vacation places, something like that. And where do I go by myself at Christmas? She puts quotation marks in the Google, and that made me laugh. She can't cry. She's begging for one tear. She lands on England. She starts looking. She decides on Surrey. And she finds this fairy tale English garden, quiet English home 40 minutes outside of London. So Iris is she's crying about the whole thing that went down with Jasper. She gets a ding on her computer. They start communicating, Iris and Amanda. And Iris has to explain to her what a home exchange is. They switch houses, they switch cars, they switch everything. The plan is to do this for about 2 weeks, and they decide they'll start tomorrow. So Amanda asks, are there any men in your town? And Iris says 0. So they decide they're going to switch starting tomorrow. We see them on planes. The idea is Iris is flying in coach, and Amanda is high maintenance and flying in first class. And we see them headed to each other's destinations. Why not, right? I love this idea in theory. I understand why it wouldn't work out in real life, but I live in Florida. Anybody want to switch homes? Especially my English peeps? Anybody? No? Okay. Amanda gets to Surrey, and it's like fish out of water, snow, all this stuff. P.S. Love her outfits. I do. They look so cozy. And Iris gets to LA and absolutely freaks out, loves everything about it. Very cute scenes. So I do have to confess here, I don't love the character of Amanda. I don't love Cameron Diaz as an actress. She's okay. I don't hate her or anything. I just don't think she's my favorite. I have a very warm spot in my heart for Kate Winslet / Iris. I love her. I think she makes the movie. I would rather watch a 2-hour movie about her. Although I love the setting of Surrey, so I don't know how to do that. I guess put her back in Surrey. I'd like to see that. Anyway, so it's just a whole thing. So it's just 2 different lifestyles, like a quaint cottage in Surrey and, this big, huge mansion in LA. So kind of seeing the differences here. And just to start fresh for both of them. By the way, when Iris was on the plane, she got a message from Jasper saying, I heard you left on holiday. How do I reach you? So this seems to be a theme with him. He's always trying to get a hold of her. She needs to get away from him. He's a terrible person. P.S. They dated in real life. Did not know that. I found out Kate Winslet and the guy that plays Jasper, who is Rufus Sewell, they dated in real life for a little while. Okay, so she tells him on the plane, listen, I just need to I need to fall out of love with you, basically. Okay, so Amanda, she's trying to sleep on the plane, hears her own life. This happens a lot. She hears her own life story in the form of a trailer. Let's move on. Okay. Country versus city scenes. Amanda takes Iris's Mini Cooper for a drive. Freaks out over the narrow roads, goes to the store and buys every snack and wine. I kind of love that scene where she's just like going crazy. She's back in bed here, having all of her snacks and her wine. That sounds like a pretty great night, snuggled up, watching TV. Again, another movie preview. That seems to be the trope of this movie, is they play her life in movie previews, and she makes them. She sees a lot of them. Iris swims in the pool, picks a movie from a huge collection. Then we have a ding-dong at the front gate. So then this is where we meet Miles, Jack Black. Miles is with his girlfriend. We find out Miles works with Amanda's ex, and he's there to pick some stuff up. And Santa Ana winds are blowing. He's a film composer. Maggie is the girlfriend. She comes up. They meet. And you can imagine where this is going. Meet cute, right? There is Maggie. Now, the thing I remember about this actress, her name is Shannyn Sossamon. She was in A Knight's Tale, 40 Days and Nights, and things like Rules of Attraction. She's the very first one I remember when I was young. I heard she named her baby something real weird. You know, that's a common thing now, but back then it was not. And I just remember her son's name is Audio Science. Audio Science, think about that. Remember Jason Lee named his son Pilot Inspector. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we're back to Amanda. She's at the beautiful cottage in Surrey. She hears a knock at the door. She's been sulking in bed with her wine and her snacks. We hear somebody very drunkenly yelling, "Iris, open the door. I'll take a leak all over the place." And it's Graham, Iris's brother, played by Jude Law. And I know he's a piece of shit in real life because, sleeping with the nanny, stuff like that. I don't care. I love him. Look how cute he is. No, I know he's terrible, but I really do. I find him so attractive, especially in this movie. Graham, he's so cute. His little glasses. He's just so cute. There is an error actually in this scene. If you look closely in his glasses, you can see some of the recording stuff in his glasses reflect back, which is pretty funny, but I love him. So Amanda apparently does too, because they immediately kind of are into each other. Amanda tells him about Iris going to LA and that she's not happy, so she'll be leaving tomorrow at noon. They cheers. He asks her to stay, and they end up kissing, and then she says, "Hey, maybe we should have sex since we're not going to see each other again." So that happens. So we go back over to, it's Iris, and she's met this neighbor, right? And he seems lonely. So he's been struggling with loneliness. It's a sweet story where she's kind of helping take care of him, and maybe take care of him isn't the right word. He just gets a little confused, and she kind of helps him out. So Jack Black comes over to see what Iris is up to and how she's getting along. She ends up inviting him and throws a Hanukkah party with this neighbor. And the neighbor is played by Eli Wallach. And Eli Wallach he just passed away in 2014 at the age of 98. He was in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Magnificent Seven. He was acting up until he passed. I really liked him in this movie. Very sweet scenes with him. So lots of switching back and forth. At Amanda's, things are awkward, after having slept with Graham. And he's saying, "Listen, if you decide not to go home, I'm going to the pub tonight with some friends. Meet me there. If not, you're lovely." She ends up going to the airport. Again, this movie preview thing happens of her life. So she's like, never mind. So she leaves. Iris wakes up. She's listening to music. She's very happy. And Jasper interrupts her thoughts. He sucks. That evening, she ends up seeing Graham at the pub. It's just sweet. We see them spending time together. Again, it's back and forth between Iris and the neighbor and taking care of him, and then back to Amanda. The end of the Miles and Iris interaction, he ends up giving her 2 kisses on the cheek and kind of lingers and then apologizes because he does have a girlfriend. Meanwhile, Amanda, she's had this wonderful day, but she ends up in the tub that evening. She's kicking herself because so Graham kind of alluded to his life being complicated. They kind of make you think maybe there's another woman or something. She's kicking herself because she says she's not sure she can handle complicated. She's like, you know what? Never mind. After this bath, she gets in the car. She decides to be spontaneous and go to Graham's house. So she surprises him. Yep, things are complicated. He has 2 little girls, you guys. These kids are so cute. It's Sophia and Olivia, and I love them. They invite Amanda in. They end up in their tent, and oh my goodness, it's so cute. He's a widower 2 years ago. He offers everybody hot chocolate. There's just very cute scenes. He does this thing called Mr. Napkin Head. I love Jude Law. So, just very cute scenes. You can see them all bonding. He finally can explain, she wants to know why didn't he tell her, and he's saying it's constant overload. It helps him to compartmentalize his life in order to deal with everything. He was afraid to introduce her because, she'll be going back, Amanda be going back home in a few short weeks. Meanwhile, Iris goes over to Arthur's again. She finds out that because he's been in film all these years, that they want to have a tribute for him. And she thinks it sounds brilliant. He thinks it's a terrible idea. He gives all these reasons why he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to. One of his things is he walks with a walker. He doesn't want to have to use this walker in front of all these people. He says, who wants to see me, get up on stage and receive this? She convinces him. She starts working on exercises with him to get him, to improve his strength and just to help him out. Back at the house, her brother calls, and it's, of course, Graham, and she tells him, hey, you should pop over and meet Amanda. Haha, he already has. Amanda calls at the same time. They kind of have, again, it's just like perfect timing, rom-com, the usual. And she figures out, oh my gosh, Amanda and Graham have slept together. She's like, I can't believe you had sex with a woman in my house. And meanwhile, Miles calls her and says, what are you up to Christmas Eve? So she decides, they decide to meet up. It's so sweet. They end up going to Blockbuster. When's the last time you saw Blockbuster? And Miles meets up with her and tells her how great she looks. So he composes theme songs. And the idea is he's going to help with this Arthur thing. They're going to end up, he's going to compose some music for him. That scene's coming, but he sings theme songs to her from the movies in Blockbuster. He sings a Graduate song to her, and we get a shot of Dustin Hoffman from The Graduate in the store. Now, funny thing about that is Dustin Hoffman was in his car driving by when he realized, oh, hey, it's a Nancy Meyers film. So since they were friends, he stopped in, and she's like, I have to put you in this movie. So they came up with a role right then for him to be in the movie. So he's there. So right after that, Miles, through the window of the Blockbuster, sees his girlfriend, laughing and holding on to somebody. Dun, dun, dun. And all you can see is them breaking up through the window. So it's awkward. We knew it was coming. Back at Amanda's house, where Iris is staying, they kind of compare stories. Turns out his girlfriend, so he had said that she was in Santa Fe shooting a movie for a month, but after 2 days she finished up, and she's been staying with this new guy ever since. He says he doesn't want to ruin Iris's Christmas Eve. Well, she lays on the whole Jasper thing to him. It's just sweet. They need each other. They talk it out. He offers to make her fettuccine. And then we go over to Amanda eating fettuccine. It made me want fettuccine, you guys. Switching back and forth. Amanda's packing up. Graham shows up and kisses her in the snow. Jack Black is playing music for Iris. They're picking music for Arthur to walk out on the stage to. He wrote a song that sounds like Amanda. It's so sweet. He tells her he wrote a melody for her, and he would only use the good notes. It's so cute. So meanwhile, back with Amanda and Graham, they hooked up, and he says, you must come to London all the time for work. No, not really. He convinces her that long distance could work. He's trying to. She's like, no, it won't work. She's leaving in 8 hours. It's not going well. She's just not. He keeps trying to talk her into it. He ends up saying, I love you. And she says, I'm trying to think of what to say. And he says, if it's not the immediate response, if it doesn't come to you, then it's probably not there. Iris is at dinner with Jack Black. They're talking about movies. They have so much chemistry, which I know, Jack Black, but still, it's cute. It's cute. His phone rings. He ends up sighing and taking the call, and it's his ex, and I'm so bummed. I hate this. So the ex calls, and he says that she's wants to work it out. She misses me, and Iris is trying to be the bigger person here and says she came to her senses. He says we should get the bill, and then we find out the Writers Guild is later, and he's like, I don't know how long this will take. I'll try to be there. I'm sorry. So, such a disappointing scene. I hate that part. So she sits there alone and crying. It's so depressing. So she goes back to the house, and Jasper calls her. And she says, I'm reading the pages, and no, I haven't forgotten. And we're only hearing her side of the conversation. She says, what kind of surprise? I'm looking around for it. And Jasper's there. Jasper's there with a box, and he says, I came here because I had to see you. I hate this guy. She says, I was right there for 3 years, and you said that we were square pegs and round holes and gave me all these reasons why it wouldn't work, and here you are. So back to Miles, his girlfriend is apologizing, saying she screwed up. They make you think, maybe they'll get back together. We'll see. Amanda wakes up in the bed next to Graham. Again, they seem to have a pattern. Back to Iris and Jasper. I really hate this guy. So luckily she comes to her senses and realizes that he's not actually single. So she says, you're still engaged? And he says, yes, but... And she says... 3 years late, I'm 3 years late in telling you this, and throws him out of the house, and it's the best scene. She said she finally got gumption and tells him to get the hell out. She ends up going over to Arthur's house. He says she's a knockout. She is. She looks beautiful here. They arrive to his tribute. He gives her a corsage. It's so sweet. And they walk in, and he was worried nobody would show up, but it's hundreds of people there applauding him and his career and are so excited to see him. And we see Arthur walk to the stage, and he ends up doing it. It's just a big momentous occasion. He's able to walk without his walker, and he had the courage to do it, and he was excited to be there. It was such a sweet scene. And then we see Jack Black run down the aisle to stand next to Iris, to be there in time to be, to be there for her. He says he's never been to Europe. If I come over there, will you go out with me on New Year's Eve? So we find out that he ended up, he and the girlfriend did not get back together. He wants to be with Iris, and it's so sweet. They kiss, and she says she would love to. Meanwhile, we see Amanda leaving the cottage. She and Graham are hugging and saying, let's not make a bigger deal out of this than it is. No rules. We're just going to kiss, and we'll see what happens. We see Amanda leave in the cab. It's snowing. She finally is able to cry. She's crying in the car. She yells to the driver, turn around, go back. And he says, did you forget something? She says, yes. She runs back into the cottage, calls for Graham. He comes out. He's crying. She says, you know what I was thinking? Why would I leave before New Year's Eve? That makes no sense. You didn't ask me out, but you did say you love me, so I'm thinking I have a date, if you'll have me. So we find out he has the girls for New Year's. She says, that sounds perfect. Then, you guys, it's the final scene of the movie. We see Iris back in England with Miles. Graham and Amanda are dancing. They're playing with the kids. Amanda and Iris hug. They all celebrate and toast. We see Jack Black and Cameron Diaz have a dance-off. They all dance, and the credits roll. So cute. I love the ending. It's so warm and fuzzy, and I need to know what happened to these people. Did they all end up in England together? How did it work? It's so cute. So the website that they use to switch houses is a real website, homeexchange.com. I thought that was interesting. Miles' studio setup, seen in the opening scene of the movie with the keyboard monitors and stuff, is copied from the studio of Hans Zimmer, who composed the music for the film. When Miles, Jack Black, is humming movie songs to Iris in Blockbuster, Again, he's humming Hans Zimmer's scores. So music he's done for other movies like Driving Miss Daisy. And of course, he did the music for this movie. At one point, Arthur claims that Cary Grant is from Surrey, England, and Iris agrees with him. Well, he's not. He's from Bristol. A few months after the movie came out, the popularity of house swapping was on the rise, so much so that police in England had to issue a warning against swapping homes with strangers due to identity fraud and other things that happened as a result. The interior sets for Amanda's house were built on a soundstage and cost approximately $1 million. Without exterior walls, roof, plumbing, heating, and electricity. How does that work? That's wild. Iris's tiny cottage is contrasted to Amanda's stunning house, but in reality, thanks to UK property prices and an unspoiled cottage like that in good location can easily be worth £1 million, not far off from $2 million. So that's it, you guys. That's the holiday. I really hope you've enjoyed my recap. I've loved talking about it with you guys. Love this movie so much. I'll be watching it again, I'm sure, before Christmas sometime. But thank you guys so much for watching. If there's a holiday movie you want to see me cover, let me know in the comments below. Also, last year I did Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. So if you're into that movie like I love that movie. Check that out in my recaps. And thank you guys so much for watching. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate. Happy that. And I will talk to you guys again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.